back. I'm back. I'm back.
Wonderful.
So we few Toastmasters friends, which were globally very well connected to each other. We were trying our best to hold each other's hand, though virtually, and we were trying to give mental support to each other during that tough time. And India was very badly hit after the second wave of COVID, and that was the magical moment. The assurance we gave to each other, I'm here for you, though whatever, whenever. When you are down, feeling blue, give me a call. Tabassum was here, Sara was here, Murli sir, Gagan, Sana, Vishal, and giving assurance to everyone, believe me, everything will be fine after this storm. And believe me, that helped us to cope up with that situation. And that was the time we realized this is the need of the hour. We as a Toastmaster should do something to spread these words of hope and faith in our society. We must have an event, a global event with some eminent, amazing speakers, which can help a larger number of crowds to cope up with these uncertainties. It wasn't only related to COVID fear, it was a fear of losing someone very near and dear, losing someone's job, relationship failure, stress, anxiety, depression, that post-COVID impact. So we seven Toastmasters. Can we have that slide, please, Vishal, on the screen? The seven wonders of Toastmaster fraternity, the seven color of rainbow from various countries teamed up to unfold this event for the benefit of people. Distinguished Toastmaster Murli Manohar, he is from India, my co-event chair. He is a member of 7 Toastmasters Club, belong to 3 districts, very active Toastmaster and very active in social culture activities. He immediately gets ready to come up with us and got agreed to organize this event. Then me, myself, and Sara, my dear Sara, globally known as international keynote speaker. She's from Founders District, and gladly she accepted and she promptly get agree, and we formed a co-team. Gagan Jolly, he is from District 41. Thanks again, Gagan, for being the host of this event. Gagan is an IT enthusiast and a public speaker, a poet and author, and the art of living volunteer. My dear Tabassum, she is from District 20. She is member of 3 light clubs in Kuwait and very well known for our organizing global virtual events. And we join hand to organize this event, Calm Amid the Storm. She is a multi-talented person who always remains happy and keeps everyone around her surrounding always happy and cheerful. Then Vishal, I must use the full name. He loved to hear that, the Vishal Edward Khan. He's from District 20. Not Hindu, not Muslim, not Christian. Only a human being. And religion is totally humanity. He was so helpful, so calm-minded, and passionately helped us to organize this event. And he is the moderator for today's event. He loves traveling, photography, and playing guitar. And another gem of my family, my team of this event is Sana Fatima from Kuwait, District 20. She is a Toastmaster for 1.5 years, and she's an electronic engineer. She believes that every new day is a new opportunity to learn and grow. Yes, you are right, Sana. Thank you, my team of 7 wonders. After hard work of several weeks, we are finally here. Now, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to the gracious presence of 3 eminent speakers from the 3 leading spiritual institutes of India, Dr. Janki Santoke, Sister Aruna Ladwa, and Swamini Vimla Nanda. Welcome to this event. As I said, this event is one of a kind event. Similarly, our master of ceremony, our MC of this event, is also one of a kind personality. And she is none other than, may I have the slide on the screen, please? My dear Sarah Khan. She is a peacemonger who passionately practices peace within and fiercely promotes peace around. Sarah has been an ardent student of spiritual philosophy, having had mentors from Brahma Kumari, the University of Sufism, to currently being a student of Vedanta. And she strongly believes that all change begin within. After, as her favorite Sufi poet Rumi says, this outward spring and garden is a reflection of inward garden. Ladies and gentlemen, with this beautiful quote from Rumi, I would like to invite Sarah on the stage for further proceedings. Once again, welcome everyone. Sarah, over to you.
Thank you so much, Rashmi. I am already feeling calm and relaxed after that introduction, as that was the most soothing ego massage ever. I'm joking. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone. So I'm logging in from Los Angeles, California. So it is 6 a.m. in the morning for me. Now, to all my brothers and sisters in humanity, I am truly honored and humbled to be virtually surrounded by such eminent spiritual scholars. But first, let's get all of the ground rules out of the way, okay? Now, all audience members are requested to mute their audio until the end of the program, though we'd love for you to leave your cameras on so that we can see your beautiful faces. Now, the chat will be open to post questions for the speakers. The questions on chat must be directed to me, Sarah Khan. So make sure you change your setting. Now, to our respected speakers, for your 20-minute keynotes, a timer will be spotlighted who will show you the green card at 15 minutes, like so. Do we have a green card? Tabu?
Yes.
Murali is displaying.
Okay, Murali is there. Yellow at 17 and red at 20. And for the Q&A, we'll keep it simple and we'll just have the red at 10. Okay, thank you, Murali. So back to me. I'm spotlighted, cool. Now, after each speaker's 20-minute talk, she will address as many questions as she can in the 10 minutes that we have allotted for Q&A. And I'll randomly pick questions and read them out to the speakers, okay? Now, going back to the theme. Now, the reason we have brought these renowned teachers together on one platform is because we have been facing a global collective storm, COVID-19, and millions have been affected. Now, storms are inevitable, right? Because the world is in a constant state of change. But have you ever wondered, why doesn't everyone react to it the same way? Also, is it possible that for some of us, there was already a storm brewing inside, and all it needed was a conducive environment to erupt into a tornado? So today, we will explore our personal and collective challenges as these spiritual scholars share their insights to help us weather the storms that buffet our lives. But before you hear from the teachers, here's a short testimony from a student. Now, speaking of personal storms, a fairly recent traumatic experience led to my PTSD. Now, I tried everything, guys, from seeking professional counseling to studying alternative therapy to even spending 2 hours every morning meditating. And yet my emotional health was plummeting. But hidden within every adversity is the seed of opportunity. So when COVID hit and lockdowns were imposed, my friend Bharat introduced me to his Vedanta teacher, Adi Kalyaniwala. And through Brother Adi's online classes, I learned that while everything may relieve symptoms, only spiritual knowledge can cure human suffering. And when it starts to seep in, drip by drip, you realize the bliss you felt while meditating doesn't last long once you leave the mat. because you carry the same mindset into every situation, interaction, or obstacle you encounter. But if you change your thinking, you will change your life. As the Sufi poet Muhammad Rumi says, this outward spring and garden is a reflection of the inward garden. So with that thought, I would like to introduce our first keynote speaker, who's also my teacher, again, thanks to Bharat. A renowned scholar in the ancient Indian philosophy of Vedanta, Dr. Janki Santoke from Vedanta Institute, Mumbai, brings a delightful depth of understanding to modern audiences. Jankiji, as she's so affectionately known to her thousands of students worldwide, is also the most patient, soft-spoken, and kind-hearted teachers you will ever meet. But if you ever hear her say, "Ek maar padegi," then you know that she's also capable of tough love when needed. Now, Sister Janki is a senior disciple of world-renowned philosopher Swami Avula Parthasarathi. She writes articles for prominent newspapers, addresses educational institutions, and conducts management training programs for companies. Now, she also runs her popular online weekly classes, offers incredible insightful webinars, and gives thought-provoking interviews, all of which can be found on her YouTube channel, Team Janki Santoke. That's Santoke, okay? Just in case no one can understand my accent. Her weekly lectures based on her talk, on her book, How Do You Know What You Know?, are a fascinating coalescence of Indian epistemology, Vedanta, mythology, psychology, logic, and literature. And as you can tell, I'm one of her most rapt students. Now, in her YouTube video, Intellect, Your All-Purpose Tool, Sister Janki says, and I quote, "Every situation, issue, and problem is unique. We need to develop a strong intellect so we can deal with these challenges, which appear to come from outside, but actually reside in our mind." So today, she will show us how to train our intellects to better engage with the world, especially in these troubled times. So please welcome Sister Janki Santoke with her keynote titled, Intellect, Our Internal Savior. Sister Janki, the virtual stage is all yours.
What is her name entered as? I need to unmute her.
Janki Santoke, Dr. Janki Santoke. Do you see
Yes,
her?
I got. Yes,
Awesome.
yes. Yes, all yours. Thank you. 1 minute. Yes, all yours.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sarah, for that lovely intro. Now, today we are here to discuss about calm amid the storm. And who is our savior? Who is that internal savior from it? As Gandhiji used to say, any fool can find Shanti in Shanti. Any fool can find Shanti in Shanti. We need to find Shanti in Ashanti. When things around are not Shanti, how do we find it? So we need to understand all these things today. We have got 20 minutes to understand these things. No, 20 minutes, right? 20 minutes to understand these things. What is that storm? What is that calmness? And how does intellect give it to us? There can be no better way to grasp this concept than to take a simple illustration from the scriptures and think about this nice story. There is a deluge, a flood in a village. It's just overtaken with water. There's a strong current and everything is being washed away. A young boy somehow finds a log in that water. He's in the water. And that log takes him drifting in that water. I don't know if you ever experienced a flood, but you know how swift that current is. And somehow that log gets lodged into a tree. And he scrambles off, holds the tree, climbs it, gets onto a branch. His heart is pounding. He's terrified because unfortunately that branch is weak. The winds are blowing. There's a swift, raging river, as it were, below him. And that branch is not very strong. It's all there is on the tree. And that's all that he has at the moment. As he sits there, terrified for his fate, a bird comes and sits on that branch. The boy and the bird are both on the branch. The boy is terrified. The bird is thinking. If you think about it, their situation is the same. They're both on that same fragile branch. They both have the water going below them. They both are in that deluge. For the bird, he's fine. For the boy, he's terrified. What's the difference? The boy is entirely dependent upon that branch. But the bird, though he's sitting on the same branch, he is dependent on his wings. If anything happens to that branch, he can fly away. For him, it's fun. No problem. Because he's not dependent on it. And that's how you see, right? You see Rama walking out of a kingdom. He's told, you're going to be king tomorrow. You're going to be the prince of the land. You're going to inherit the throne. Okay, that's fine. He'll do that. Then he's told, no, sorry, we changed our mind. Go away. You go to the forest. His expression doesn't change in either of those conditions. He's, playing Rama's role is always the easiest because same expression throughout. I don't know if you saw Raman, but same expression throughout years. Doesn't make a difference in his life. Neither the throne nor the forest. He's okay. He's like that bird on the branch. He can use anything, but he's not dependent on anything because he has his wings. So what are our wings? What is that thing we have within ourselves by which we can be involved in everything in the world, partake enthusiastically of everything, and still not be dependent on it? To understand that, we should understand our own personality. What are we? What am I? Let us consider this. What am I? Only when I know what I am, I will know what I have available to me. So let's see. All of us human beings, what do we have? Firstly, we have a body, right? No debate, we all have a body, correct? No problem there. Then we have emotions. That's our mind. It's called manas in Sanskrit. Or love, anger, greed, hate, jealousy, cheer, happiness. All the various emotions. All the things we feel like doing and feel like not doing. All our whims, all our fancies. All of that is the manas, the mind. Man in Hindi. Then we have the buddhi, the intellect. The buddhi is our capacity of discrimination, of reason, of judgment, decision. It is the rational side of us. The mind is the irrational side. So what all do we have? We have the body, we have the mind, which is our emotions, our likes and dislikes. We have the intellect, which is discrimination, reason, judgment. And beyond it all, we have something, an unknown. Different religions call it different things. Vaishnavites call it Vishnu, Shaivites call it Shiva. The Muslims call it Allah. The Christians call it the Father in heaven. Some unknown thing within each one of us that enables us to do whatever we do. That power without which nothing happens. भगवान की मर्जी के बिना एक पत्ता नहीं हिलता. That power without which nothing happens. And yet a power that never interferes in what happens. This is a very important thing for us all to understand. Without the power of this God or X, whatever it is you want to call it, nothing will happen. And whatever happens is not dependent on it. Just like without electricity, no electrical gadget will work. Without electricity, no electrical gadget can work. And yet, whether the gadget gives you cool air or hot, it grinds your food or washes your clothes or amplifies your sounds, none of it has to do with electricity. All of that has to do with the equipment through which it passes. Similarly, God is that enlivening power within us, because of which everything happens. And yet, what happens because of our equipment. Our equipment, which is the body, the mind, the intellect. We all have different bodies, different minds, different intellects, and therefore different results in the world. Okay, clear so far? So what is our personality? It is made up of the body, mind, intellect, enlivened by the self. By that unknown, by X, call it what you want. Doesn't matter what we call it. We have a big fight, all of us, what we should call it. Doesn't matter what we call it. Because anyway, none of us know it. We don't know what is that thing. Beyond our comprehension. Call it X. So we are made of four things. Now we have to say, who will save us? Can it be the self which saves us? Can God save us? The self is the energizing principle. It does not interfere in what we do. What about our body? What does our body do? Our body has actions, has perceptions, but it's just a vehicle. It doesn't really do anything on its own. It is made to do things by either the mind or the intellect or a combination of the two. Okay. So when we're talking about something saving us, it cannot be our body, mind, intellect, or it may not be the self. Then what is it? I don't want to create unnecessary mystery. The what saves us in life really is not any of these things, but how we use these things, how we direct these things. Our bodies we use normally to perceive and to act. What is perception? We take in perception through our senses. We like to eat something because it feels nice. I feel happy when I eat a gulab jamun, when I have an ice cream. We hear sounds that we'd like to hear. We see sights that we'd like to hear. Why do we do that? We're using our body in this pathetic attempt to find happiness. And what do we do with the mind? We get into a relationship. Why? In the hope that this person who I'm having a relationship with will give me happiness. I indulge in my intellect, collect so much knowledge, so much information in the world. Gold on a mule's back. I approach God. What do I approach God for? I go to temples and churches and mosques. But for what? All of it is, how do I use God to give me happiness? He's an agent. I have to go to the temple or the church or mosque, praise him, and then he gives me everything. This attitude of us to use what we have in a desperate attempt to find this happiness externally is what causes the storm. Because the world, unfortunately, doesn't accede to our prayers. Things are not always the way we want them to be. And even when they are, they can change anytime. Isn't that so? When we didn't have COVID on our heads, either we would have been happy or we would have been unhappy, one of the two. If we were grumbling about the traffic at that time, we were so miserable that we have to spend 2 hours in traffic every day. Then COVID came, we didn't have traffic. Then were we delighted? Now we found something else to grumble about. If we were happy, maybe that thing didn't last, whatever that thing was we were happy with. So all the time we are using what we have in this attempt to find happiness, to eke out some happiness from the world. And that doesn't happen. And that is our storm. That's simple. I'm trying to make the world the way I want it to be. It is not being very cooperative with me. And that's what I call a storm. So, where's our calmness? This world cannot always cater to us. The world cannot always be the way we want it to be. And where would we find this calmness? This calmness can be found in a change of how we use our equipment, or what we do with our equipment. This thing that we use in the pursuit of this pleasure that makes us so miserable. We are constantly finding storms all the time, stress and agitation and sorrow and depression and so many things. Irritation, anger, disharmony in relationships, so many things we find because of the wrong usage of these things. We have to use them differently. And when we say we have to use them differently, who will use it differently? Our own intellect has to use it differently, for which we have to develop an intellect strong enough to do that. A strong intellect is an intellect which enables us to do the action we need to do. A strong intellect is an intellect that enables us to do the action we need to do. And unfortunately, I hate to tell you this, you will hate for me to tell you this, but there's only one way to develop the intellect. And that is through the study and reflection of Vedanta. So we have classes, please do come to them if you understand, if you value this knowledge, but only by thinking for ourselves, by understanding what is going on, will we be able to change the way our life is. Only our intellect can make this happen. what is it supposed to make happen? The body that we were using to eke out some pleasure from this world, we convert the usage of this body into service. The intellect can make us do service rather than saying, who all are serving me? What can I do for you to change our attitude in our work? How may I help you? What can I do for you? Suddenly you find this happiness that we were seeking comes to us almost as a byproduct. You never even thought of it. Suddenly you become happy. Suddenly you're calm. Suddenly you're peaceful. Suddenly the storms don't seem to matter so much. In relationships also, all the time our relationships are saying, you do this to make me happy. How about I change it to, what can I do to make you happy? How about I make that change? And then suddenly you find, oh my God, all my relationship seems to be working very well. In intellect, we use it not for the collection of information, because information can't help us. Just think about this. Suppose I have a computer on which I have written every instruction about what to do in case of fire. It is a complete plan over there what to do in case of fire. If a fire really comes, the intellect, the computer can do nothing. What use was that knowledge? When we go to God, we go with the same thing. What may I do to please you instead of you pleasing me? It is this change of perception that makes all the difference. So I'll leave you with this nice story from the scriptures which will tell us how to do this. An old king declared that since he had no heir, he would hold an exhibition where people can come and find him, and whoever finds him becomes the king. And he set up this huge exhibition, and everybody came to that exhibition because they could find the king. So they came in, and they were beautiful stalls. The best Golgappe, the best Rolex watches. Everybody got involved somewhere. The best lectures on the Gita. Everybody got involved somewhere. At some stall or the other, they stopped. My heartthrob is here. At some stall or the other, they got involved, they stopped, they forgot what they were here for. But one boy, he did not forget. He roamed about whole day trying to find the king. He saw all the beautiful things. It's not that he didn't see them. It's not that he was not interested in them. But he remembered his purpose. He stayed with it. And in the evening, there was an abandoned structure on those exhibition grounds. And a priest came in to do the puja over there at the temple. And the boy, he saw somebody there, so he said, turn around, I want to see you. He didn't get involved in the temple either. And the man turned around, and lo and behold, it was the king. What made the difference between the boy and the rest of us? His vision, his purpose was clear. And by his purpose being clear, he became the king, and all those Rolex watches and the Golgappa and everything came to him. You don't have to chase them, they will chase you. But when you decide to chase them, you lose the king. You lose it all. You don't get the Golgappa and you don't get the king. You become the king, everything will get added on to you. Isn't that what Christ told us? Seek thou the kingdom of heaven. First seek the kingdom of heaven, and then everything will get added on to you. So when we remember our higher purpose in life, when we have a vision about our life, then we don't fall for these petty enslavements. And the only thing that can have the vision in life is the intellect. And the intellect can conceive it, make a plan of action to reach it, and work in that. But for that, you have to strengthen the intellect. Nothing that you hear today will benefit you if you do not reflect upon it. Reflection will create a strong intellect. So That's it from me. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Yes, thank you so much, Sister Janki, for that thought-provoking talk with so many takeaways. One of them, some of my favorite ones were a strong intellect is an intellect that enables us to do the actions we need to do. Only by thinking for ourselves and understanding for ourselves can we change our world. So we also need to remember our higher purpose in life so we don't fall for petty desires. And the only thing that will help us to do so is our intellect. So with that, let's see, I have a few questions for you, Sister Janki, and let me just grab the questions. So one of them is, it comes from an audience member, Sana. She says, we could introspect, understand, and help ourselves. How would we help others around us?
It's a good question. It is the same as when you're in an airplane and the oxygen levels fall. The first and most important thing you do is put your own mask on. Because once you put that mask on, you can help others. So we don't know what to do to help. So we have to first educate ourselves and concentrate solely upon ourselves. Once we have become those people, we will help automatically. Our presence will help. You don't even need to say anything. Imagine if Krishna was in your presence. His presence helps. So most important is not about helping others, but becoming that person ourselves.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you, Sister Janki. The second question is, sometimes my intellect doesn't work when I'm emotionally weak. How should I cope with that?
Emotionally weak, what does it mean to be emotionally weak? Emotionally weak means my emotions drive my body. And why do my emotions drive my body? Because they are strong. They are too strong. They blow my intellect away. So what do I have to do? I have to make my intellect stronger than this. You cannot have a fight between two entities and the weaker one wins. What happened like that? If I go to fight with Muhammad Ali, there's no way I'm going to win. So what have we done? We have allowed these emotions to become a rakshasa within us. Very strong because we spend all our time there. So spend time with the intellect. Allow that to grow. It will grow in 6 months because it is a more powerful instrument by itself, but bichara is being starved. So feed it, it will grow, it will handle the mind.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sister Janki. And there's one question that you might have heard in your classes too. Somebody's asking, thank you for the explanation about intellect. I've heard about intelligence. Is there a difference? What is the difference? I'm a little bit unclear on that.
Yeah, good question. This is a differentiation we should always make, that intelligence is the collection of information. If you go to a cocktail party and somebody talks to you about why COVID is there and what about Boris, whatever his name is, and Bolsonaro and Modi, and then talks to you about geography and chemistry. So a very intelligent person. What do you mean? He has a lot of information. So intelligence is nothing but the collection of information. Intellect is your capacity to use your information in your own life. In other words, your intellect can govern your actions. They're two completely different things. You can be extremely intelligent, means you could have a lot of degrees, you could be extremely well-read, and make a complete mess of life. So intelligence is collection of information. A strong intellect means actions are perpetuated, are done by the intellect. You can think and do what according to you is the right action.
Excellent, thank you. We have a question here by Pramod Patra. Namaskar. To become more calm, need to focus on self is important, but how to control the external world on us and our family where we are staying together?
We have to change the mindset that ever tells us that the external world is having an effect on me. The external world cannot have an effect on me. Think of this like this. There is a test tube. Okay? It's an empty test tube. You put a chemical in that. Nothing happens. But if the test tube already has a chemical, and then you put another chemical into it, a reacting chemical, there we are. Storm. So you cannot attribute the storm to the chemical you added, because you could have added that chemical and there would still be no storm if the original chemical was not a reacting one. So similarly, unless I have a desire within me, nobody in the world can interrupt that desire. And if my desire is not interrupted, there is no storm as far as I'm concerned. So no external things, only internal. That doesn't mean you don't change external things. So please don't misunderstand. Of course, we will change them. But first, let's deal with the inside, and then we will know what to do with the outside.
Excellent. Sister Janki, we have a question from Kanagasaba. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to try pronouncing the names, but a wonderful audience member has a question. Sorry to ask this. Are you entitled any certification for this interesting workshop? I believe the person is asking about your classes. If not, you can clarify on the chat. But yes, Sister Janki, would you like to share about your classes, online classes?
Yes, we have classes that happen every week, 4 times a week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and a very warm welcome to all of you to please come and join us. This is a great subject. If we all study it, it'll help a lot.
Excellent. Thank you, Sister Janki. And I have a question. Balance. How do we balance? Actually, 1 second. How are we on time? Timer?
You have another 3 minutes to go.
Okay, 3 minutes. Awesome. Okay, so how do we balance between heart and brain, intellect, emotions?
You don't balance between them. There is no balance to be achieved between emotions and intellect. Intellect always rules. But that doesn't mean you suppress the mind. It is like you don't balance between a child and a parent. The parent has to always rule. But the parent rules in such a way that the child grows up properly, not in such a way that the child is frustrated and sort of repressed. A child who is trained by the parents to be disciplined is always a happier child than a spoiled child. It is the spoiled child who are miserable. It is not the disciplined children. The disciplined children are fine. Not only are they happy then, they will be happy their whole life. So the mind has not to be balanced. It has to be kept under governance. What that means is when you want to do something, your mind wants to do something, you don't say, oh, I'm not going to do it. My mind likes it. But you examine it. What is it your mind saying? If it is relevant, please do it. If it is not relevant, then you must not refrain from doing it. So entirely up to your intellect to take a call on what you should do or not do.
Absolutely. Now, the next question is, what is greater, character, intellect, or heart?
It all, in philosophy, it all depends how you use these terms. Character and intellect is really the same thing. Character is the quality of a person. Intellect is the quality of a mind. Intellect is the quality of a person. Character is the quality of a person. Character is the quality of a mind. Intellect is the quality of a person. Character 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 is the qual Now, the word heart is used differently in different contexts. Heart can mean your emotions. So as a human being, you should have emotions. If you don't have emotions, you're a piece of wood or stone. But you should have noble emotions, not craving and begging emotions, but noble emotions, pure emotions. That's the dignity, right? That's a human being, the capacity to have good emotions. But no matter how good the emotions are, action should still be decided by the intellect. So one way of understanding heart is have good emotions. Another way of understanding the word heart is to talk about it as the core, like heart of the city, heart of the problem. Talk about it as the core. In which case now you're referring to your divine center. Then of course the divine center is most important. So all these terminologies, when we don't have systematic study, we have all these terminologies floating around, and as a consequence of it, we just get confused because the same words are used with very different meanings in different classes and different philosophies.
Excellent. So read now, Raleigh?
Yes, time up.
Yes. Time's up. Okay, thank you so much once again, Sister Janki, for such a wonderful session and for answering everybody's questions. And one of the things that I loved, way too many takeaways, Sister Janki, maybe I'll let you know in class, but I did absolutely love the quote you started with. So I'd like to remind you guys all about the Gandhiji's quote that any fool can find Shanti in Shanti, but we need to find Shanti in Anshanti. And Sister Janki did such an amazing job to explain that to us, how to do it. So now we would like to have a group picture with Sister Janki. Sister Janki with you and everybody else. So it's going to take just a few seconds, and let me know whoever has to be ready for that. Raleigh, are you the one who's taking the shot?
Vishal.
Vishal. Vishal, are you ready?
Yes, I'll take a shot now.
And as
Awesome.
there are 10 screens, so we need to be freeze for a while.
Just a few seconds. So are we on screen 1?
Okay. All righty then. Okay. Okay, clicking in 1, 2, and 3. That's screen 1.
Welcome to District 20 CGD and PQD elect.
Okay, now let me take the second screen here.
Okay, screen 2.
Screen 2.
Smile.
Please, everyone, switch on your video so we can capture this beautiful
Yeah.
moment.
Okay. Screen 4.
That would help, guys.
Clicking 1, 2, and 3. Right. Screen 3. Clicking 1, 2, and 3. The rest, all the other screens are just names. So
Okay, that's all right. So we are done. So once again, thank you so much, Sister Janki. And to everyone else, if you want to learn more about Sister Janki's classes, you can visit her Facebook page, which is the same as her book title, How Do You Know What You Know? Or her YouTube channel, Team Janki Santoke, Santoke.